Helpers, called conductors, and freedom seekers, called passengers, had clever ways of staying on course and avoiding slave catchers. Wagons with special hiding places, rooms with secret passages, and physical disguises were common. Passengers traveled at night and used groups of stars, like the drinking gourd, meaning the Big Dipper, to point the way north. Pointing his finger across the Detroit River to Windsor, Ontario, is Georges de Baptiste, a black activist and conductor on the Underground Railway, responsible for getting many slaves across the river to freedom in Canada, which previous to 1867 was a British colony. By the way, one of the most famous underground conductors was Harriet Tubman, who was born a slave in Cambridge, Maryland. After making her own successful escape, she came back to Maryland many times to lead family members, friends, and other slaves to freedom, which could have meant just being north of the Mason-Dixon line. Until emancipation, Detroit and the Detroit River community served as a gateway to freedom for thousands of Afro-Americans escaping enslavement. Detroit was one of the largest terminals of the Underground Railway, a network of abolitionists aiding enslaved people seeking freedom. Detroit's Underground Railroad code name was Midnight. At first, Michigan was a destination for freedom seekers, but Canada became a safer sanctuary after slavery was abolished in Canada in 1834. With passage of the Fugitive Slave Act in 1850, many runaways left their home in Detroit and crossed the Detroit River for safety in Canada. And this is what I said last Friday at the end of vlog number 47 in the series Detroit, America's Great Comeback City. And on Monroe Street, just before Greektown, is Second Baptist Church. And that's the subject of next week's vlog, Second Baptist Church in Greektown. So the very first time I went to Greektown that you see here, I had to take a double take. I had to go back, because there was Second Baptist Church. Well, you say, what's the big deal? So it's Second Baptist Church. But I was stunned when I looked at the historical marker that was on the outside of the church. Founded in 1836 by 13 former slaves, this is the oldest black congregation in Michigan. From its beginnings, the church has occupied a prominent place in Detroit's black community. Its first pastor, the Reverend William C. Monroe, was a noted anti-slavery activist. On January 6, 1863, Detroit's blacks celebrated the Emancipation Proclamation here. On the federal level in the United States, slavery was brought to an end with the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, and that was passed in 1865. I was attracted to this church due to its deep connection to black history And I also happen to like black spiritual music. And I went ahead and had a look. Officially, it was known as Croghan Street Station, and I'll leave a link below for a more detailed look from Fox News. I got my tour of Croghan Street Station from the lady on the right. I did not have the heart to take out my video camera. A year and a half in Detroit, I went to Second Baptist Church about 5 times. I didn't want to go more than that for fear of cultural appropriation. So, what were my impressions? Astoundingly, at the end of a service, I always had the impression that if I would have had to pay for this, I would not have walked away feeling disappointed. Let me say that the Reverend Dr. Kevin M. Tubman, the senior pastor, is about the best preacher I've ever heard, and I've been to many church services. It may be typical of all Baptist churches, but the program is very, very varied. You can't get bored, and the homily doesn't come until very late in the service. A very nice touch is that about in the middle of the service, they have what's called acknowledgement of visitors. And that's where all the people who are visiting, like myself, stand up and you all get to say something and people seem actually interested in what you're saying. And there's reactions. A most amazing part of the service, and I don't see it on the program, is when everybody gets up and shakes hands with everybody else. And you circulate around the entire church talking with a lot of people. I have never seen such a welcoming group as here in Second Baptist Church. When Barbara came from Victoria to Detroit at the end of January for my brother's funeral, I just had to take her here to see a service at Second Baptist Church. Like myself, she loved it. Unfortunately, we also found out that the Reverend Dr. Kevin M. Tubman had retired to California. It fell upon the Reverend Cornelius Williams to be the interim pastor. It was announced that a recruitment agency had been hired to find a permanent replacement for Dr. Tubman. It will be a difficult task. Join me next Friday for more on this fascinating city of Detroit, and if you made it this far, I'd appreciate a thumbs up and maybe a comment. Don't forget, even if you're subscribed, you need to click on the alert bell in order to get notification of the next vlog published every Friday. Have a great week.